Hello everybody and welcome. John Pace here to talk about HLG. HLG or hybrid log gamma. All mirrorless cameras have it. Nikon, Panasonic, Sony, Fuji. Oh wait, that's right, everyone except for Canon. Sony's 8-bit 420 HLG is an outlier though. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it HLG light? The specs call for 10-bit Sony. Anyway, it was after buying the Panasonic GH5 and reading Mystery Box's blog about shooting, grading, and delivering HDR video with the fabulous Panasonic GH5S that I really became fascinated with HDR, an unhealthy obsession that would possess me for around a year before I finally came around to my senses. And you should too. Just stop watching the video right now, right here. Be happy with your 8-bit 420, 6 stops of dynamic range, 23.976 frames per second, 172.8 degrees shutter angle, just like everybody else. You still watching? Okay, let me ask you, how would you feel if your camera shot 24p, but your editing software would only let you work in 30p? You'd be pissed, right? Then why is it that when your camera can record a marvelous 12 glorious, earth-shattering stops of dynamic range, you're satisfied with the paltry 6 stops? Just throw those extra 6 stops out the window while watching on your $3,000 5K iMac with its lousy black levels, its piss poor contrast, blinding screen glare. Come on, we're talking dynamic range here, the holy grail of video. Wouldn't you be upset? Not even a little? Anyway, I got sucked in by those Australians. Not only were the wizards at Atomos the only ones in the whole wide world who could coax 4K 60p from my GH5, they claimed their cumbersome, hot as a furnace, heavy as hell, battery-chewing inferno, I'll get to its bad points in just a minute, could also double as an HDR grading monitor. Why is that a big deal? Because true HDR monitors run $35,000. A professional 7-inch 1500 nit recorder that records 4K 60p and doubles as a grading monitor, all for just $1,200? I'm in. Of course, you could shell out another $500 for a Samsung SSD, heavy-duty platinum and gold-plated full HDMI cable shielded against nuclear fallout. Naturally, you can't just plug your Inferno into a Mac and expect to be able to begin color correcting right away. That's for amateurs. It'd be too easy. First, you need a connector, and there are dozens to choose from, ranging in price from $135 on up to $4,000, as much as I paid for my first car back in the late 70s, a Dodge Dart with stick shift and vinyl seats. The very devices upon which entrepreneur, visionary, and black magic founder Grant Petty built his $300 million a year empire, long before designing the Pocket 4K that requires $2,000 of rigging just to make it into a usable vlogging camera. Anyway, it goes without saying, I purchased the cheapest connector, the Ultra Studio Mini Monitor, for $135 from a guy riding a Honda Cub with no license plates in the back of a dark alley near the river, and who didn't even give me a receipt. A brief word about the recorder I spent thousands on but never ended up using on a single project. There are two Infernos, the Ninja and the Shogun. The main difference being the Shogun has SDI ports, the professional ones, whereas the Ninja has HDMI. And since the GH5 had HDMI, naturally I purchased the less expensive Ninja. Like I said, the thing gets hot, it eats batteries like nobody's business, and it's seriously heavy. Atomos advertisements show the Inferno gracefully perched on top of a mirrorless camera using a 10-cent tripod head mounted on the camera's hot shoe. The most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen in my life. Most reviews of that head, the ones shown in those ads, said all you had to do was whistle and the head would start spinning around like a drunken sailor. And when I actually had a chance to hold the Inferno in my cold, sweaty hands, I realized there was only one device on the planet tough enough and rugged enough to support this unruly beast, the quaintly named Bright Tangerine Titan Arm, meaning several hundred more dollars for a flight to Malaysia, booking a room, picking it up at the nearest retailer within a 2,000-mile radius of my home in Saigon. And get this, even the mighty Titan struggles to hold the Inferno. It wobbles around. I'm kicking around for days trying to get the damn Inferno to work with my iMac and Final Cut Pro, but no luck. Even my underwhelming 400 nit 1080p Blackmagic Video Assist can do it, so I'm emailing and calling Blackmagic. I'm calling Atomos every day for weeks on end, trying to get in touch with somebody who can help. I'm on the phone with both companies for hours. A tireless technician from Atomos tested every single combination of recorder, connector, laptop, editing software in the world just for me and confirmed. Now get this, the Ninja will not work with Final Cut and Mac. I needed the Shogun with its magical SDI ports. It then puts me in touch with the Atomos representative, tells me to fly out to Kuala Lumpur, where they'll arrange to exchange my unit for a brand spanking new Shogun with professional SDI ports. We'll pause the gripping story here, not for a Squarespace ad, but to mention the one key component, the crucial link without which this whole fiasco would be meaningless. An HDR television. I'd heard LG was supposed to make the best panels in the world, and since the previous year's model was virtually identical to the latest and greatest, I thought I'd save some dough and order the older one. But there was some question whether the older set supported HLG or HEVC, I'm not sure which. So I ended up getting the LG C7. After all, a 55-inch OLED with all the bells and whistles, and best of all, it's got a YouTube app and streams both HLG, HDR, and Dolby Vision. So, after what seemed like years of trials and tribulations, I finally got the Inferno to display my image when editing Final Cut on my Mac. It goes without saying, the following day, at the crack of dawn, I jump out of bed, hook up the GH5 with my 15mm rails, a matte box, a follow focus, a cage, Vader Mini Prime T2.2, Shogun Inferno, some 15 pounds of rigging, arrive at the location with my assistant and model, prepared to dazzle the filmmaking world with the very first HLG HDR video shot in the most visually arresting country in Southeast Asia, when to my horror I discover it can't even record HLG. And even if it could, Final Cut scopes show brightness levels in IRE values, not nits. The Inferno's colors are insane. The color display needs to be calibrated, meaning spending another $80 or $100 for a proprietary cable to connect the recorder to an X-Rite. In the end, 7 inches isn't big enough anyhow. I give up. A year later, I wake up from my coma. I see Ken Ross's Iceland video, shot with Sony's totally fake 8-bit HLG. It blows my mind. It's straight out of the camera. So my advice is, forget about expensive recorders, forget about the media, forget about storage, grading monitors, lookup tables, proprietary cables, in-out devices, matte boxes, titanium cages, magic arms, follow focus units, cinema lenses costing $1,200, made from aircraft grade aluminum, easy rigs. Forget about mystery box and just go out and shoot.